G'day there everyone, welcome to Movie Studio Zen. My name's Derek. This is a beginner's tutorial for how to use Sony Movie Studio Platinum 13. So if you've just bought the program and you are officially freaking out quite a bit, well, this is the perfect first tutorial to watch because I'm going to take you through the full normal workflow for how to use the program. I'll show you how to import media. I'll show you many different ways of how to edit it on the timeline, how to create transitions, how to do fades, how to copy media, how to delete media, and finally, how to turn it into a new video at the very end. It is going to be a long tutorial. I make no apologies for that because I will not be skipping any major steps, which is very important when you're learning. One quick last thing before we start is if you look in the description box below here, you'll find many links. The first link underneath all my videos always goes to an article that I write for every single tutorial on my website, moviestudiozn.com. So if you check that out, you quite often will find a little bit of extra stuff which I couldn't put into the video. Okay, so let's get started. So the first thing we need to do is change a few behind the scenes settings. This is one of these one-off tasks. So click off the welcome screen. Make sure you're in advanced mode. That's where you want to be for all time from now on. Go into options, preferences, and this first setting here, automatically open last project on startup. That is so annoying, so turn that off. Click apply. Then go to the video tab and the third option here, GPU acceleration of video processing. By default, it's set to off. If you open that up and there is an option there, please select it. That'll turn on your graphics card if you have one that's compatible with the program, and that should speed up the preview window processing power. It'll give you a bit more extra oomph for processing video effects and for rendering your videos. Click apply and you'll get a message saying you need to restart the program. Click OK, which I will do, and I'll see you in a moment. Okay, so when you boot the program, it should normally look like this from now on. You've got the welcome screen. There's 4 options in the box here. The best one to start with is new, so press that. This opens up the new project window, and here is where you're going to tell Movie Studio what type of project you want to make. By making selections here, it will set all the behind the scenes stuff for you to make things a lot easier. First thing you have to tell the program is which video region you live in. Are you in an NTSC country or a PAL country? If you're not sure, I found a map on Wikipedia which divides the world up. So NTSC countries are coloured green, PAL countries are coloured blue, and CCAM countries are coloured orange. If you are in a CCAM country, you'll be using PAL because PAL and CCAM are very closely related. It's fine. There's lots of choices here. Do you want to make a DVD, Blu-ray disc, video for the internet, blah, blah, blah. And then on the side here, there are further sub-templates which refer to frame size and frame rate. Now, for many, many years, that's how I used to start a project in Movie Studio, and you can do that right now if you wish. However, I discovered a more advanced method which has a big advantage, and that is to use Match Media Settings. So if you want to try that, press that now, then click Browse. And then the next step is to navigate through your computer and find one of the main video clips that you want to use in your project. I'm going to get a video of the Sydney Harbour Bridge, and I'll show you what that's done in a few moments. Next step is to name your project, very important, and tick this box. And that will create an automatic subfolder for your project to live in. Great idea. Click OK. Okay, now we can start importing some media. So there are quite a few ways to import videos and pictures and audio, but I'm just going to show you the 2 most common methods. First one, go to Project Media tab and press Add Media. Then navigate through your computer and find the files that you want to put into the project. So I'm going to select this one of a dog and hold the control button down and get this video of the Opera House. Press open. So that imports it into here, and then you have to drag it onto the timeline when you're ready. The alternate method, go to Explorer tab. This gives you full access to your Windows directory. And then when you get down to this level, you can change the view setting to thumbnails, which makes it a lot easier to select stuff. Now I'm going to select that video that I used to match the media settings with. When you use the Explorer tab method, it imports it directly onto the timeline. So that's a bit different from using the Project Media tab. But when you go back here, you'll find it's sitting up here as well. So the first thing I'm going to do with my project is add in some text. So I'm going to hold my mouse button down, drag this to the side a bit, then go to Media Generators, make the window a bit bigger, and select Titles and Text. That's the main titles and text option in Movie Studio Platinum 13. There are tons of different animated templates you can use, but I'm just going to drag in the default. And there we go. So text events by default last for 10 seconds, and you can make that shorter or longer if you wish. To change the text, highlight on top. If you want to change the size, you can do that. Exactly like a normal word processor. If you want to change the color, you can do that. Change the scale. Change the location. It's all pretty straightforward stuff. Now, 10 seconds is a bit long for my introductory text, so I'm going to trim it down. So now I can start to show you some of the editing tools. So the first main thing to learn is to use the wheel on your mouse. So put the cursor where you want to zoom in and use the wheel on your mouse to expand deep into the timeline here. So I want to make this just 5 seconds instead of 10 seconds. Many ways I can do this. One way is I can grab hold of the end, hold the mouse button down, and just drag across. That trims it down. Or I could press S for split on the keyboard as a shortcut, then right click and cut away the bit I don't want. Or there's also some tools down here. So if I want to trim the start, do a cut and trim the start, I can press that. That's pretty easy. Or I can just trim the end. And there's also the split function down the bottom here. So there's many ways to do the same sort of thing. Then I can drag this back across. Whoops. And so the first thing I want to do is actually do a fade in and a fade out of the text. So to do that, I need to change it to fade edit mode. So press that button there. Now, hover the mouse pointer in the very top corner, hold it down and drag. And that's creating a fade. To do a fade out, and go to the opposite corner, drag across as well. So now I'm going to play this. We've got a fade in and then a fade out. Now, I want to have a nice transition from the text into the video. So I need to fade in the video as well. So there's 2 ways I can do this. One way is to drag the video underneath and create a fade for that. And I can also do a fade for the audio while I'm there. Now everything's fading in and out very nicely. Another way you can do a fade in and a fade out is to actually bring both sets of media onto the same track and just overlap them. and that will automatically do a fade in and a fade out. But I'm going to bring it back to this method. Oops, there we go. Beautiful, that'll do. Now I'm going to use the wheel on my mouse to zoom back out. And what's next? Let's create a transition. So I'm going to grab the Opera House, bring it down here, zoom in a little bit, and then overlap both pieces by 2 seconds. So by default, it's just a simple crossfade. But if I want to add something a bit nicer, I can go to Transitions tab, go to the Sony folder, and there is tons to choose from. So what's a good one? I can do star. And when you drop a transition into that overlapped area, the control box for that transition will open up. And here you can do further settings for the transition if you like. If I don't like that transition and want to replace it, I can just drop another one on top. And that will automatically delete the first one and swap it for the new one that I put in there. If I'm right into the edit and I decide I just want to get rid of that transition altogether, I can click the green crossover symbol, go up here and press remove selected plugin, and that will remove it altogether. I'm going to zoom back out. And what will we do next? I think I would like to insert some pictures into the middle of this video. So how am I going to do that? Well, before I do that, I want to explain something to you. There's actually 5 main edit tools, edit modes. Three of them are sitting here, but there's another 2 hidden ones. And there's a quick way you can access them. If you go to edit, editing tool, here they are here. We've got normal, that's normal, envelope, fade, selection and zoom. So how do I get to, I can press it in here, or I can use a shortcut of pressing the letter D. So normal edit mode, the mouse pointer looks like this default arrow. If I press D, it goes to envelope edit mode, which has that little line with the dots on it symbol. Press D again, and this goes to what I want to show you, the selection edit tool. So when you've got that dotted rectangular box, you can drag out a region and it highlights everything that you may want to move. So if I then hold on to that media, I can move it all in one big go. Once I'm finished using this tool, I can press D again. Now that then goes into the zoom tool. Now with the zoom tool, you can drag out a region if you want to focus in. So it's just like using the wheel on your mouse. But be careful in using this tool, because if I then click outside of here, it zooms way out and everything goes very, very tiny. And that can be quite frustrating. So to zoom back in, I've got to create another box and just let the box go, and I'm zoomed back in. Normally I just like to use the wheel on my mouse. So just remember, press D and you can go through the 5 different edit modes, and you'll know which one you're in because of the symbol that's on your mouse pointer. Get back to normal. Okay, so that's one important thing to know. I wanted to do a split, so I'm going to do S for split. And I need to insert some pictures in between here. So one way I could do it is to press S for split, drag that to the side, go to my Explorer tab, find some pictures, drag them onto the timeline, and then close the gap. So that's quite a few steps if I did do it that method, but there's a much quicker way. If you go to Configure button, press that, and turn on the Auto Ripple tool, watch what happens. So I'm going to drag, let's click outside, I'm going to drag the same photograph. I'm going to put the edge of it right on the split mark and then let go. And what it's done is push that to the side and added it in, all in one quick movement. I can show you this again. How about I put a split in the video here? So press S for split, bring it down, butt it up against the cursor and then let go. Very, very powerful tool. The thing to remember if you do use the Auto Ripple tool is to remember to turn it off when you've finished using it. Otherwise you can end up in a ginormous mess. One extra thing about the Auto Ripple tool when you get more advanced is that it actually has 3 settings that are hidden up here in the menu. So if you go to Options, Ripple, there's 3 modes for the Auto Ripple tool: affected tracks, markers and regions, and all tracks, markers and regions. Basically, that the standard mode, affected tracks, is referring to just like one track. But if you need to adjust something that's going to affect multiple tracks all laid on top of one another, that's when you need to put it into the higher modes. Okay, how do we copy something? So if I wanted to copy just this part of this video, I can hold the control button down, hold the mouse button on top, press it down, then drag, and that creates a carbon copy of that same video clip. What if I want to copy a text event? Do the same thing. Hold the control button down, hold the mouse, hover the mouse pointer on top, then press it down, and then drag. And when you drag a text event, you'll get this window. Do I want to create a new copy of the source media or a reference to the original media? Creating a new copy creates a brand new copy which you can change to whatever you want. So if I want to change the words in here, I can go change text. So we've got new text and the original text. If, however, I'll just get rid of this, hold the control button down, drag this across, and select the second option, it creates a clone which affects all the other clones as well. So that's the same words, that's the same words. If I press this generated meter icon, go in, open up the box, and then change the text, watch what happens to the original copy. It's changed as well. So that's what that second mode does. It creates a clone that affects all the other clones. So be aware of that. Okay, so where to next? You'll see these little handles on top of your video clips. This is an opacity handle. So if I hold the mouse pointer down and drag down, it lowers the opacity till eventually the video is down to 0. The same thing happens on an audio layer. So for audio, if I wanted to bring the sound level down, I can drag that down and you can see the waveform is shrinking. So that's one way you can adjust audio just for one particular clip on the same track. If I wanted to adjust the volume for all the tracks, all the pieces of media on the same track, I can use the slider control here. If I want the slider to be a little bit bigger, a bit easier to use, I can hover the mouse pointer in between the two tracks, then drag it down, and then it makes the controls a lot larger, a lot easier to use. So if I reduce that, that's going to reduce everything on this layer. I can also change the volume by changing the master slider, and that'll affect everything in the entire project on all tracks. There is a third advanced way you can change audio, and that is to right-click on a blank area and select Insert Remove Volume Envelope. And if I start double clicking, I can raise this and lower this, and this represents volume. So if I need to change volume over time within a video clip, I can add this envelope so that the volume will go up and down and up again. If I need to get rid of it, I can right click again and just turn it off. Now, if while you're playing back your media files and they're jumping around, they're lagging quite a bit in the preview window, then you'll need to reduce the quality of the preview window. There's 4 major settings and 4 minor settings within each setting. If you put it to best full, then that's going to put the biggest strain on your computer for playing back the files in real time. You want it to make it easier, bring it right down to draft. Now when you do reduce it to say draft level, it will start to look quite chunky and pixelated. But there is one thing you don't need to worry about. Whatever the setting is of the preview window, it has absolutely no effect on the brand new video that you make from the project at the very end. This preview window is just a temporary setting. It has no bearing on your finished product. In all the videos on the timeline, you'll see the same controls popping up. The first one, Event Pan Crop, if you press that, that opens up this window. Now by using the wheel on your mouse, you can control this again. So I can make this a little bit smaller if I wish, if I like. And this gives you the ability to zoom in and out on your video clips. Okay. There are lots of different combinations in this window, and I've got other tutorials on it. I'm just making you aware of the basic functions of this. The other button is the Event Effects button, and this is how you attach video effects to each piece of media. So you can press that, then navigate and find a video effect and apply it, or the easier way to do it is to go to the Video Effects tab, and let's go to Sony tab, and then find what you want. So let's say I want to make it black and white. I just drag this down on top of the clip and then let go. And once a video effect has been added, that icon turns a lime green color so that you know there is a video effect has been added. Now, say you want to get rid of it very easily click on top of the icon, then click the Remove Selected Plugin button. Let's say I wanted to add color correction. Drag the default down, and I like to put it into custom mode. And now I can increase the saturation to bring the color up. I can also add in a chain of video effects. So say if I wanted to add color curves as well, I can drag it down on top of the same video clip. Then you can see the chain of effects. You can go backwards and forwards from one to the other. You can temporarily turn one on or off. Make a little S curve here. And then when you're finished, just click it off. you can also apply the effects on the track layer. So what I did first was just apply it to one video clip. But if I wanted to apply the same color correction to everything on the entire track, I would do it via this button here. So I would add it into there like that. But I don't want to do that, so I'm going to click on top and get rid of it. Same thing for audio effects. You can press that, press it again, go to the Sony folder, and you will find different audio effects you can add to the audio track layer. The last major tool I'll just briefly show you is the track motion tool. Track motion tool, when you apply it, affects everything on the track all at once. Now, if the window opens up and it's a bit crazy like that, you can just resize it very easily. And this is the tool that you would use if you want to create picture-in-picture effect. So if I grab hold of a corner and then do something like this, and let's say, let's put another video underneath. So I'm going to grab this one, and I can't put another video underneath. So that means I need to create another video track. How do I do that? I need to right click on a video track and select insert video track. Now I want it below, not on top. So I'm just going to hold on top of this and drag it down like that. Now I can grab this video and bring it underneath. Now if you get the music doing like a double track thing there, just grab hold of it and bring it down further so it's on its own layer. Now we've got a picture-in-picture effect. I'm going to go open that back up actually. Okay. Now this was just an introductory video. There is so much I could go into, but I think I've already done more than enough for a beginner's tutorial. Okay, the last thing I'll finish with is actually making a movie from your project. It's the most important final step. So press Make Movie. Oops, before I do that, make sure that you have been doing regular Save As all the way through. So press Save As, make sure it's in the right folder, press Save. Yep. Okay, now I'll do Make Movie. So when you do Save As, saving as is just saving the project files on the timeline. Saving as does not create a new video clip. That is done by pressing Make Movie. So there's two different steps. Now I always teach people to don't use upload to YouTube or Facebook. Always do it manually first. It's a much safer and just a much safer and reliable method. So press Save it to my hard drive. This first window here is a little bit of BS, so I like to always go straight into the advanced options. And this is the window that you really want to be in. If you want to see more of the options, you can drag the window out to make it a bit easier. And these are all the formats and all the templates that you can render to. Just before I get to that, be aware that there are a few hidden controls underneath here, and there are many filter options under here as well. So for my example, let's say I wanted to turn this into a 1080p video for YouTube. Well, the best format to use for YouTube is Main Concept AVC/AAC. Now it reveals all these templates that are ready for us to use, which makes it very easy. So here we go. Internet, HD 1080p. And if you wanted to, you could just press render straight away. But I'm going to show you one extra little step. You can customize your rendering templates and do a little bit further tweaking. So if you wanted to change the bit rates, which changes the file size, you could do that. But the most important thing in this window is the encode mode. By default, it's set to CPU only. But before you change this, go to the System tab and press Check GPU. If you have a compatible graphics card, you'll get an output here. So mine says CUDA is available. In which case, I go back to the Video tab, and where it says Encode Mode, I can change it to CUDA. And that means that my graphics card will help accelerate the rendering process, the process of creating a new movie from the project. If you have a different type of graphics card, like an AMD Radeon card, you would be using the OpenCL method. But when you go to that System tab, it'll tell you that if it's available. If no option comes up, then it means you have to use the CPU only for rendering. Okay, so that's just a final thing to remember. And then when you are finally ready, press OK. And just before you press render, always make sure that the output folder address looks correct before you start. So I can see Documents, Movie Studio Platinum 13 Projects, and there's the name of my project. And the program's created a little renders folder for me, so that looks good. If it was wrong, you could change it now. So press render. And rendering times will vary dramatically depending on the size of your project, depending on how many video effects, how many layers you have, and depending on the power of your computer. Hardware configuration, a laptop to a desktop, big difference in processing power, which will change the rendering times. So that's it. This was just a good general overview of how to use the program, what the normal workflow is. If you're still listening, then know that for 90% of my old tutorials made with much older versions of the program, they will still generally work in this new Movie Studio Platinum 13. So please check out my old tutorials. You'll find a lot of benefit in them. Okay, so when the project finishes rendering, you'll have this little message here, and you can open and view the file immediately, or you can open the folder, and it opens up in My Documents and shows you the video clip where it's located. So if you wanted to upload this to YouTube, all you have to do now is log into YouTube, press upload, and press selected files to upload, and then navigate to your Documents folder and look for the Movie Studio Platinum 13 Projects folder. There's the folder. Open up the Renders folder, select the video, press open, and everything will start to run. It's that simple. Thanks for watching.
Set the volume control in your stereo system.